Joining me now on the grill is Ben Shapiro, author of Bullies and editor-at-large for Breitbart News. Welcome back to you, Mr. Shapiro.
Thanks for having me.
I've missed you. He says, lying.
Same here. I thought maybe you were going to deport yourself after the whole gun control.
No, your attempts with your mates to get me deported failed spectacularly.
Oh, I wanted you to stay. You're so much fun.
Let's turn to something serious. This is an appalling story, and I'm sure we both agree on that. This 5-year-old boy shooting and killing his 2-year-old sister with a rifle he'd been given. Now, it's in Kentucky where this happened, it's legal to do this. And what I want to do is play a commercial. This is by Cricket, who make these rifles and market them to these kids. Let's watch this.
Where's he going?
Shoot my new Cricket rifle.
I wish I had one.
My first rifle, a moment you'd never forget. The Cricket is the perfect way to get younger small-frame shooters started right, with a safety-promoting design. It's soft shooting, affordable, and accurate. Girls and even mom will love the way they can pick one to their own taste. Start your own tradition. Cricket.
I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. I thought this was a spoof. I really did. I cannot believe that this is genuinely deliberate, targeted advertising and marketing to give 5-year-olds rifles. What is your view?
Well, the marketing is directed at the parents, obviously, and the parents are making some, interesting decisions. I would say bad decisions if they're giving a 5-year-old a gun. It is illegal, as far as I know, for a 5-year-old to walk into a gun shop and pick up a gun. The problem, I think, is broader than just this. I mean, if we're going to go to any kind of cultural implement that encourages kids to own guns, then we're going to have to go straight to Hollywood, and I'm not sure that people want to go there. I mean, most people who want to own guns do so because they watch Die Hard or because they watch, a movie with a gun.
Yeah, but they're actually, it's illegal for a kid of 5 to go and watch a lot of these violent movies.
That's true, although some of the PG movies even have guns in them. So it's...
But, back in Britain, I'm not going to harp on about where I come from. It's irrelevant to this, except that, the only thing like that you'd ever see would be toy guns. Kids have toy guns, and it's known to be a toy. It doesn't fire real bullets. This tragedy happened because these parents were traduced, I would imagine, by that very kind of advertising, and they believe it's perfectly normal to give their 5-year-old kid a rifle. And I just find it unconscionable.
Well, I certainly find it unconscionable on the part of the parents. I mean, as far as the advertiser goes, I'm not...
Should it be banned, that kind of advertising?
I think that there's an argument to be made in favor of that, but I do think that the broader argument is not about situations like this. I mean, these cases happen, and they are horrifying. But the real heart of the gun control issue has to come down to what happened in Chicago. I mean, I follow your Twitter feed, Piers, and I noticed that you tweeted a couple of times about this particular story. I didn't see any tweets about, for example, 20 people being shot yesterday in Chicago.
Well, I've tweeted before about Chicago and discussed it on the show numerous times. Chicago is a particularly awful situation that's got to be dealt with.
We should focus on the central problem then. I mean, this is...
we can. Except what I find interesting about this with you is, and we've discussed gun control before in a very animated way, but, you agree with me then that you would bring in a form of gun control which would be prohibiting companies like Cricket from targeting young people with guns.
I'm fairly certain liability law already covers a lot of this. I mean, there is such a thing as advertising liability. If you advertise, for example, you have an overground pool and someone advertises someone diving into the pool and then someone dives into the pool and breaks their neck, then you can be sued for that. If these advertisements show these guns as being a lot safer than they are, there's advertising liability already. I'm not sure you need a specific law directed at that.
On the ongoing debate about background checks and so on, last time I interviewed you, you said you were in favor of background checks.
I am.
Why is it that even background checks can't get passed by Congress? What is going on?
Well, they're not effective, unfortunately. I think the concept of background checks is generally a good one. I mean, we want to weed out people who are responsible from people who are irresponsible or criminal. Unfortunately, in California, we have universal background checks, and they have not been even close to effective. The idea that government has the ability to really do that sort of weeding out with a universal background check, I wish it were true. Unfortunately, the solution is not that easy. In concept, I do. I would like to see a plan that can be implemented that actually works.
There's a poll that's just come out. This is a Fairleigh Dickinson University poll. So that 29% of Americans agree with the statement. In the next few years, an armed revolution might be necessary in order to protect our liberties. Additional 5% were unsure about that. So a third of Americans genuinely believe they need to be armed to possibly rise up against some form of tyranny. Why?
Because that is the fundamental basis of American freedom. That has always been the fundamental basis.
Where would the tyranny come from?
The tyranny would come from the government. I mean,
Barack Obama's government?
No, not Barack Obama's government. I don't believe that Barack Obama is a tyrannical leader. But
So whose government?
Well, I couldn't name you a name, but it's not a matter of who is in charge. It's a question of what the government does.
Would you personally believe, like a third of these people, that you will need in the next few years, it says, you will need to have weapons to take on your own government?
I don't believe in the next few years. I believe that there is always the possibility of government tyranny. I don't see that happening in the next couple of years. I do think, Piers, I have to say, I think the reason that there are so many folks who are talking about the possibility of government tyranny is threefold, really. It's the Obama administration's increasing reliance on big government, and that I think threatens some people. I think that it is folks like Alex Jones who do this routine where every time they shut down a city like Boston because of a terrorist attack, it's the end of the world and military laws at hand. And honestly, I think part of it is due to folks like you, Piers, because, you know, you go out of your way to really give the impression that you're interested in taking away people's fundamental right to bear arms, and I think that scares a lot of folks.
Well, no, I'm not. We've discussed this. I'm not remotely against people having the right to bear arms. I'm seriously against the right to have military-style assault weapons to blow kids' brains to pieces in schools.
I still don't understand your position on this, because you've said you're against assault weapons, but you are okay with handguns. Handguns kill 6,000 people a year. Assault weapons kill 300.
Well, they're both a big problem.
So
handguns
why don't we just go for
Chicago and assault weapons with mass shootings.
You're from the UK. Why don't we just go with a full gun ban?
Well, listen, we've discussed this. The UK has 40, 50 gun murders a year.
Right, so why don't
America has 12,000. Why don't we try our way? Let's move on to this.
I'm glad you finally let your agenda out there.
I don't have an agenda. I just want to make America safer and save lives. That's my agenda. Let's turn to Jason Collins. This is the sports star that came out. You tweeted this. So Jason Collins is a hero because he's gay. Our standard for heroism has dropped quite a bit since Normandy. Why such a cheap shot against a guy who did a pretty brave thing?
I don't think it's a cheap shot. I think that heroism is defined by willingness to sacrifice in favor of, and take a real personal risk in favor of a noble, larger goal. This may be a noble, larger goal, but I'm not sure what the risk is.
First male American athlete in history to come out as gay while still playing.
Martina Navratilova came out in 1981. That was
male.
3 years before I was born.
I said male.
So let me ask you something, Piers. Why do you hate Americans so much that you think this is such a homophobic country that when Jason Collins comes out, it is the biggest steal in the history of humanity? President Obama has to personally call him to congratulate him.
Why do I hate America so much?
That you think that we are such a homophobic country.
I think you may be homophobic simply because you said, why is Jason Collins a hero? Because he's gay.
I don't understand why.
Why sneer at a guy for coming out when he's being courageous?
I'm not sneering at him for coming out.
Aren't you the one being homophobic?
I don't think it's homophobic to simply say we're apathetic about people's personal lives.
You're the one who thinks your government's going to invade and attack you, which is fairly anti-American sentiment.
I don't think that my government is going to do that. I think there's a possibility.
Brave because he came out. So when you call me
think that America is a fundamentally good place,
Piers. Look at your own backyard.
I think that America is a fundamentally good place. The fact is this, Piers. You're British, and a lot of folks have said you should leave the country because you're British. You come on here every night and you speak in a British accent. That doesn't make you a hero. That makes you being who you are.
I'm Jewish.
I understand. I'm Jewish. I wear a yarmulke on TV, right? There's a lot of anti-Semitism. There are people who are killed in anti-Semitic attacks, you know, per capita, as many hate crimes against Jews as against gays in this country. America is not an anti-Semitic country, and I'm not a hero for wearing a yarmulke. Being who you are in 2013 in America is what America is about. It is not heroic to be who you are publicly. I'm glad for Jason Collins if he feels that he's going to live a happier life now. But it does not make you a hero to be who you are, because America is not a homophobic country.
You know what, Ben? Come off it.
Come off it.
Got to leave it there, but come off it.
Oh, is that
Give
an
the guy
argument?
a break. He's the first one to come out. He's a brave guy. I applaud him.
I'm glad the president calls him.
To have your first thought to be to get on Twitter and sneer at him?
No,
I'm cheap.
I think what's cheap is ripping on America and calling it essentially a homophobic country. So homophobic that we need to...
calling America homophobic.
Piers,
You're the only one that's mentioned it.
Piers, you cover stories in which man bites dog, not in which dog bites man.
Mentioned America's homophobic.
No, you know it's homophobic.
Got to leave it there. But seriously, nobody mentioned America being homophobic. You're going mad.
Then why the big deal?
Ben Shapiro, come back soon. On the grill there, and well roasted he was too. When we come back, Reese Witherspoon's drunken arrest, a potentially racist ad, and Warren Buffett's first ever tweet. We'll be breaking the news. That's coming next.